You ever have that sinking fear that you're going to pour years of your life into your writing, only to get absolutely nothing in return? No sales, no awards, no readers, just wasted time? Maybe you worry that the publishing industry is just too saturated right now, or that AI is taking over for authors. But actually, the truth is, your brain is actively rooting against you becoming a successful author. I know, that sounds ridiculous. Why would my brain fight the one thing that I want the most? Because what you call success, your brain calls something else entirely. And until you understand that, you will always feel like you're swimming upstream. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens and how to fix it so that you will reach your writing goals. Here is the reality. Your brain is not designed for success. It is designed for survival. And writing a book, that triggers 3 distinct biological alarms that are designed to stop you in your tracks. The first barrier is what evolutionary psychologists call energy conservation. Think about it like a caveman. For your primitive brain, every calorie you burn needs to result in food or safety. But writing burns a massive amount of cognitive energy with 0 guaranteed rewards. You might write for a year and get no money, no food, and no safety. So your brain looks at that equation and thinks, bad investment. Cut the power. And that sudden fatigue you feel when you sit down to write, that is your caveman brain trying to stop you from wasting calories on a maybe. If you manage to push past the fatigue, you hit the second barrier, homeostasis. Biology tells us that all living systems want to stay stable. Your body temperature stays at 98 degrees. If it goes up, you sweat to bring it down. Your psychology works the exact same way. You have an internal set point for your career, your income, and your visibility. So what happens when you start succeeding? If people start noticing your work? What happens when you finish that chapter or get a publishing deal? You heat up, you go above your set point, and your brain's cooling system kicks in. And here's the kicker. You don't even have to succeed for this to happen. Your brain is a prediction machine. So just thinking about that level of visibility triggers the alarm. Your brain predicts that you getting attention for your story, or getting an award for it, or having increased sales exposes you to more potential risk, to more potential humiliation, to bad reviews. And so it starts the release of the stress hormones before you even start writing. It triggers anxiety and self-doubt and a sudden distraction to, quote, cool you down and bring you back to your homeostasis where you are right now. It's not really trying to hurt you. It's trying to stabilize you. And the brain sees you as you are right now. And that might be aspiring writer, beginning writer, maybe you've published a book, whatever it is. The brain sees you as you are right now as the safe place. That is the homeostasis place. That is the place we're going to continue to return to. To demonstrate this, think about what happens when you gain a few pounds. I mean, I've noticed this myself. You gain a few pounds. Used to be that you could just get rid of them with a couple of daily jogs, right? But your body, the older you get, is going to fight that, because once you gain those few pounds, the body sees this as the new homeostasis. So we're going to maintain this new weight because this is where we are. This is what we want to maintain. So it fights you trying to lose those few pounds. That's the same way the brain works. The brain sees you as right where you are right now as the homeostasis point, and it's going to keep trying to bring you back to that. So it's going to make becoming a successful writer look scary and risky. And finally, the most subtle but dangerous barrier of them all, identity protection. Your brain is obsessed with consistency. Over the years, you have built a very strong mental model of who you are. And that's what I was just talking about. Maybe you are the aspiring writer, or the dreamer, or even the struggling artist. And that identity is comfortable to the brain. It's familiar. The moment you start succeeding or even thinking about success, the moment you shift from I want to write to I am a writer, you're creating a conflict in your brain. You're violating your own operating system. To your subconscious, this new identity feels like a lie. It feels like a system error. So your brain tries to resolve the conflict by sabotaging the new behavior to get you back to the old familiar you. It's not that you can't change, it's that your brain is fighting to keep the old you alive, because the old you is safe. And if you don't fix this, you will remain that aspiring writer or that dreamer forever. So you have the caveman cutting your energy, the thermostat or homeostasis cooling your ambition, and the identity guard keeping you stuck in the past. It's a perfect storm. But the good news is that biology is not destiny. Now that we know what's going on here, we can override these basic mechanisms. Let's talk about how to do that next. So number one, to beat the caveman brain, you have to stop relying on future rewards. The caveman brain is all about energy conservation. It operates on a very simple ledger. Energy out must equal reward in. The problem is that with writing, there's a time gap. You put energy out today, but the reward, money, publication, or praise, might not come for years. To a caveman, that's a terrible deal. That looks like starvation. The caveman doesn't care about those rewards that you're working toward, a year, 2, 3, 5 years down the line. He cares about the energy you're burning right now. So solution number one is that you have to pay your brain immediately. You have to hack the system by creating an artificial, immediate return on investment. So this isn't about, quote, treating yourself. This is a biological bribery. If you write for 30 minutes, you get that piece of chocolate, or you get to watch that funny cat video, or you get 5 minutes of guilt-free scrolling, or you get to listen to your favorite song, or go to your favorite coffee shop. Any sort of reward that works for you helps teach your primitive brain that when I write, good things happen right away. And it has to be immediately. If it's not, your brain will fight you the next time you want to sit down and write. It'll say that you're too tired or that you have too much brain fog. So to get it to work with you, you have to close the gap between effort and reward so that the caveman stops pulling the plug on your energy. Number two, now let's fix that internal thermostat. Remember, your brain has a set point for how much visibility it feels is safe. And if you try to jump from hiding your writing in your room to best-selling author overnight, that is a massive temperature spike. And your biological alarm is going to go off and you'll freeze and somehow sabotage your progress. So solution number two is micro exposures. The goal here is to fly under the radar of your own brain. We need to take steps that are so small they don't trigger the brain's fear response. So we're not trying to be brave here necessarily. We're trying to be sneaky. If the idea of querying an agent, for example, makes you get anxious, that step is too big. Your thermostat isn't ready. So make it smaller. Don't query, just look up the name of one agent today, and that's it. Or try a secret risk. Submit your short story to a contest. Why is this safe? Because if you don't place, literally no one knows. It stays between you and the judges. And you can hire an editor or a writing coach, and that is a huge step for your commitment, but it's completely private. No one has to know but you and your editor. If showing your work to a critique group makes you want to throw up, make it smaller. Don't share a whole chapter, just read one paragraph to a trusted writing friend. When you take that tiny little non-threatening step, nothing bad happens, no tigers attack you, no one laughs, and your brain records that data. It says, oh, we did that and we were okay. And slowly, without you even realizing it, your internal thermostat nudges up. And what used to be terrifying becomes a little bit more normal. And you're literally rewiring your brain's definition of what safe is. I remember way back when I first started my blog, which was many, many years ago, I was really afraid to publish even one blog. I was afraid that it would be criticized. I was afraid it wouldn't be good enough. And it took me a long time to prepare and perfect that first blog and put it out there. But that was a micro exposure, just one little blog. It didn't hurt. Nobody criticized it. It was fine. Most people didn't even see it. And I realized, you know what? This isn't as scary as I thought. Put out another blog. Put out another blog. Anytime we do a little step like that, we teach the brain that this probably isn't as scary as we think it is or that we imagine it is, and we raise our temperature. And you get to a point where you start to expose yourself in your writing a lot more often with a lot less fear. So that's two ways you can start to release this anchor your brain has on your writing future. But there's one more, and this is the biggest one. But it's also the most fun to turn around. So here we go. Okay, here we're arriving at the biggest barrier of them all, and that's the identity guard. This is where most writers get stuck forever. So you want to be a successful author, but your brain's internal self-image says, who are you kidding? You're just you. You're an aspiring writer. You're not one of them, those successful ones. And the brain hates inconsistency. If your behavior writing a book doesn't match your identity as an aspiring writer, your brain will sabotage the behavior to restore order. So if you see yourself only as an aspiring writer, but then you go to finish your novel, your brain may sabotage that step because it doesn't want you to go from aspiring writer to something else, because it doesn't know what the something else is, and it fears that it will be unsafe. So solution number 3 is to force the identity shift. We have to change the label before you can get the contract, so to speak. And because this is the hardest part, I'm giving you a 3-part protocol to hack this. So phase number 1 is to gather evidence. Your brain is a lawyer. It builds a case based on facts, and right now it has a lot of evidence that you are a dreamer or an aspiring writer or whatever. And we need to give it evidence that you are now a professional. But you don't need a book contract for that. Do you have a dedicated writing space? That's evidence. Do you have a specific time that you write every day and you never neglect that time? That's evidence. Do you invest in your craft with books or courses? That's what professionals do. Start pointing these things out to yourself. I am writing at 6 a.m. every day. That's what a professional author does. Or I'm getting an editor to look this over. That means I'm taking the next professional step, just like a best-selling author would. Next is phase 2, and this is the most fun part. If you feel too scared to be author you, then pretend to be somebody else. It's great if you can give this new identity a name. You're professional author K, for example, or you're book author Barb. And when you sit down at the computer, you aren't the person who worries about laundry or bills. You are the author you dream of becoming right then in that moment. Maybe put on a specific hat or play a specific music playlist. Literally dress the part if you want to. When you act as if you are already successful, your brain stops fighting the work and starts assuming that, oh, this is just a part of the job. And the more clues you give the brain that you are this new identity, the more it will start to believe you and loosen up that anchor. And finally, phase 3. This is future self-actualization, and is something that athletes use to win gold medals. You can use it to finish your book. So spend 2 minutes before you write, closing your eyes and visualizing not just holding your completed book, but the identity of that person. How does the author you hold that book? What does their face look like? And then take it a little bit farther. How does author you walk? Or how does author you answer the question, what do you do? How does that person feel when they open their laptop to work on their story? By rehearsing these feelings, you're teaching your nervous system that this new identity is safe. You are telling the identity guard, let us through. We belong here. If you take these steps every day, give your brain little rewards, take micro steps forward in visibility, and then identity shift or act as if, gradually you're going to find that your brain starts working with you instead of against you. You'll be able to notice it by how much easier your writing sessions feel, or how much more often you're risking exposure, or the opportunities that start coming your way. It takes some time to get your brain on board, but it's worth it because you can go a lot further with your brain helping you than you can with it trying to keep you right where you are. So your mission of the week, if you choose to accept it, try what I call the physical identity switch. Find one physical object. So it could be a specific baseball cap or a coffee mug you never use for anything else, or even a specific ring that says writer to you. This object is going to signify the writer you're becoming. If you don't already have something, then get something. It can be anything small that when you look at it, it reminds you of who you want to become. For the next 7 days, you only touch that object when you're writing. The moment you stop writing, you take the hat or the ring off, or you put the mug away. This creates a physical boundary that signals to your brain, we're now entering the writer identity. It sounds silly, but it actually helps separate your safe daily self from what your brain sees as your dangerous, ambitious self. Try the switch this week and let me know in the comments which object you chose. If you found this helpful and you want to dive deeper into how your writing brain works, I've just opened the doors to a brand new community called the Writer's Brain Studio. It's a place where we stop fighting our biology and start using it to write more books. I've put a link in the description where you can check it out and see if it might be right for you. Also, if you're still struggling to finish your story, be sure to check out my award-winning book, Escape the Writer's Web. It helps you to personalize the solutions you use to actually get your book done. And if you feel like sticking around, check out the video coming up on the end screen. It'll give you some more tips on how to work with your creative brain to reach your writing goals. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.